So we've decided, actually based off a tweet.
Yep.
Forgive me, I don't have the tweet. Scarlett Shazam. Scarlett Shazam?
It's been a while. It was a while ago.
That was a while ago.
You know who you are.
And she asked us, why haven't we discussed Hydra Cap? Is it because
wasn't over yet?
Is it? And the answer is because you don't want to touch that travesty. So we took that as a
travesty.
That's
It wasn't controversy. It was travesty.
controversy.
It might have been controversy.
It's been a while. Oh, look. So that gave us what I took as a challenge to discuss Hydra Cap as soon as it was over. So we've all read it.
Yep.
We've all read at least the majority of the main storylines.
I thought I read a lot of it, but my boy here, Sparks, you seem to have beat me, and I'm so proud of you, baby. I love it.
I think you probably read more of exactly what tied into Secret Empire than I did, because I had to start shaving things towards the end there. Yeah. But I definitely read a lot of the lead up.
No, so I
like the lead up a lot, though.
Me too.
I want to ask a question before we get into this.
Sure.
Heck yeah.
Did this deserve the blowback?
Hell no.
Absolutely not.
Hell no.
All right, no.
Yeah.
Sparks?
No. This is a simple answer.
I understand, but
so here's my thing. Yes, that's the problem. I understand why this happened, because the first Captain America issue where this happens, they make it look like in that single issue that we see a piece of Steve's history that we've just never seen, where it turns out he's actually always been Hydra. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I get it. I get why people are upset if that were the case, that this whole time he truly has just been secretly Hydra. I would totally understand that outrage. I would be upset about it if you just decided, no, really, like, literally the whole time.
So every single event, until this point? Really?
Every single story about Captain America up to this point, he's always secretly been Hydra. If that had been the case, yes, I would totally understand the outrage. I would think that's completely justified. Mm-hmm. This blew up way too hard because people reacted to that fact as it was presented in that issue as like, oh my god, he's been Hydra the whole time. And it's like, but you know how comics go. You gotta wait to see. And literally the next issue. If it had been a little longer, I'd understand.
It was literally
the next issue.
And people could not wait.
The Red Skull has his explanation of the fact that he had altered Steve's past. And that right there made it okay. And it's like, it's just an event. But because so much of that blowback came from people who are like casual fans of Captain America, or like see the movies, or haven't read comics in a long time, aren't reading this current event. Even I wasn't reading it at the time, but I still was like, okay, but they didn't do something that dumb.
Right.
They didn't just rewrite.
And that's what
everything.
Nick Spencer would go on to say on various interviews. We didn't do that. Just watch the story unfold and enjoy it. Right. One of the things I do like is that you're right. They didn't just say that. It's revealed that the Red Skull, and spoilers, just saying. But the Red Skull has...
Oh, yeah, like a year and a half of comic books are about to get spoiled.
Yeah.
So
anything related to Civil War II or Secret Empire or the Captain America Steve Rogers run in between.
Standoff is the beginning of this, and that was
the beginning, which I read too. Yeah.
That's essential to it.
Well, so what happens is Red Skull... Actually, I really liked how they handled this, because Red Skull didn't say, hey, turn Captain America Hydra. He manipulated Kobik, who is essentially Cosmic Cube.
Yes.
To just be like, look how great Hydra is. Hydra is wonderful. Hydra's amazing.
We got to start with Standoff, though, to explain who Kobik is and how she was formed.
So
that's why Standoff's important.
I like that we started with your question. Yes. Let's go through chronology.
All right, so S.H.I.E.L.D. created this like experimental prison called Pleasant Hill. And they used... Did they manufacture a Cosmic Cube, or they just found the fragments?
They found the fragments, and it formed into Kobik, and they had Kobik do this.
Which apparently, according to Eric Selvig, is just something Cosmic Cubes do.
Yeah, and they just gain sentience. I don't know why.
And Selvig saw Kobik as like his own daughter.
Yes. Yeah. So this sentient Cosmic Cube is in the form of a little girl, and the main doctor, Dr. Selvig, who was in the Thor movies... for the uninitiated comic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this prison is a rehabilitation center for supervillains, where they alter their reality so that they were never a bad person and they're given regular human lives.
Right. They live in this perfect slice of suburbia where they're in this great community, and they believe that they've always lived there, and it's a small town, old 50s vibe. Yeah. And it's a prison, but none of the prisoners know it's a prison, and they treat it like that's the life they've always had. They turned... Oh, my God.
There's so many funny...
which is the one that they turned into a dog?
Oh Jesus, dude, that was so long ago, man.
So one of the giant monster characters who sometimes is a villain but wasn't. He was part of Dugan, Dum Dum Dugan's squad. That's what he'd most recently been doing.
Oh jeez,
what's the Howling Commandos?
Yeah. But because he'd most recently just started doing that, they still considered him criminal. So they grabbed him. They turned him into a dog. And when he comes out of it, he's really upset because he was really happy being a dog.
Like Sandman's like a mechanic or something, and Baron Zemo's this guy named Jim or something. It's super weird. And it's the Whisperer, who is Rick Jones. He basically I don't know if he leaks the information to Cap or the Unity Squad or somebody, but he's like, do you guys know what S.H.I.E.L.D.'s doing over here?
It's Bucky who he's in contact with.
It's in Bucky, and then
Bucky's going on the quest to find out what exactly is going down with Pleasant Hill.
Yeah, and all these different teams converge on Pleasant Hill, and then they have this big battle, and then
because Zemo and someone else.
It's Zemo
come out
and
of it.
The Fixer, who's like a super D-list character.
Right,
but
they both realize that they're in a
somebody
altered
made
reality.
some contraption that brought their true selves out.
Right.
I forgot who it was. I think it might have been
it was the Fixer.
Yeah.
And he brings Zemo out.
And Zemo's
then Zemo takes it as an opportunity to rise up and have all these villains work with him to overthrow it.
And
well, but so that's kind of what standoff was. But the only thing that is really important to standoff is towards the end.
Yeah.
Where Kobik gives Captain America, who had been an old man for a couple of years now.
He'd been an old man. He got tossed into the fight with Crossbones, and he was losing. He was about to be killed because he couldn't hold up.
Yeah.
And doesn't have the super soldier serum anymore. And so Kobik decided to make things better, and Steve suddenly became young again.
Yes.
And nobody knew what had actually happened at that moment until much later.
Way later.
Yeah.
We would find out in the second issue of Steve Rogers that she had rewritten his memories.
Yes, so that he had, his mother had met this woman named Eliza, who turns out to be Madam Hydra.
What a beautiful lady.
And,
I love her so much.
And she had met her and convinced her to start bringing Steve over to these Hydra recruitment camps, and they started ingraining these ideas into Steve from a young age.
So Steve Rogers is a young kid, obviously he's frail, blah, 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 but he has an abusive father. And out of nowhere, Eliza shows up, and as he's being mean to Steve and his mom in the middle of the street, and she's like, "Oh, honey, you shouldn't have to deal with this." And she kicks his ass, and she's like, "You should come to these special meetings. You know, it's about him being empowered and getting the community back together." And she hands him a Hydra community pamphlet.
Yeah. Right.
And then it's over these issues of Steve Rogers. It's just his slow descent of still being the exact same person he's always been, but that underlying I don't even know the right word, the underlying I
would say his nature, because his nature is still true. However, it's been twisted. Instead of being to the land of the free, home of the brave, America, he is 100% for Hydra.
He's less compromising.
I think what's really interesting about it, he's less compromising. Yeah. I think what's really great about it is that he wasn't convinced of Hydra's way is right. That's not exactly what happened. What happened is that Hydra knows the best way to get to making everything peaceful.
Peace through
strength. That's what he became indoctrinated with, and that's the thing he decided to uphold, because it's not like his whole thing, it's a great part of the story, is that the moment the Red Skull took control of Hydra, it went down.
Yeah.
Downhill for him. And he's hated the Red Skull the whole time.
That's why I
been looking to overthrow it.
This specific version, because people were getting mad and they're calling Captain America a Nazi.
Right.
And spoilers, he kills the Red Skull. He literally kills the Nazi because that way of doing things is wrong.
And offers it to Magneto.
Dude, he gives it. Yeah, and Captain America is a bad guy, but no, he's not a Nazi because Nazis are below him. He's better than that.
Yeah.
And
but that's the thing. That's the thing about Hydra. And for a couple of years now, it's been kind of like this, and we saw it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but Hydra isn't a Nazi organization. It's specific. It has been corrupted by the Nazis because the Red Skull took it over, and that's how that happened. But before that, now I'm not saying Hydra's good.
No, of course not.
No. I mean, they're still fascists, but they're not
No, of course not. Hail Hydra.
Of course, Hail Hydra. Of course, they're not good or whatever.
all the the 40s representations of Madam Hydra and the Kraken, they're all like, this Hitler guy's crazy. You guys see what he's doing? We got to get away from him. Red Skull's like, nah, he's the fascists are the best way for us.
Well, what I really liked about the stories were the flashbacks. I loved the flashbacks to Steve growing and learning and being friends with Helmet Zemo.
I thought those were so cool.
And I thought
him and Kraken together, I really like, man.
I thought the art was fantastic, and I thought those were played out really well.
Go on.
I was gonna say I really like the coloring of the flashbacks.
Yeah,
I like the way they did the colors.
The focus on black and gray,
the
and
reds,
red,
the grays. Because it was back in when people do flashbacks, it's hey, it's in black and white or so. But this was, the reds were really vibrant. Some of were there blues or
no? It was always black and gray and red.
It was. Those were Brandon.
They stood out.
Those were my favorite parts, like Eliza's hat, bright red. Just those were like the best parts of the issue.
So I think for this discussion,
Issues.
Yeah. So I think for this discussion, I want to do a talk about everything that led up to Secret Empire. Then we'll discuss Secret Empire.
Yeah, because I think it is so essential to his plot to get to where he's at, because the world gave it to him on a silver platter.
That's what I wanted to get to. Is one of the things that I really like is because he is Steve Rogers, and he kind of plays it like, I don't want to be director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Never asked for
I
it.
don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
He had tried to have Sharon Carter be the director, and she turned it down.
Tries to get Carol to not do the shield, planetary shield. But
he's trying to stop himself, and no one is doing it.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, I'm clearly...
He's trying to do the same plan, but in the way that has the least amount of casualties. But there's no way he can outright tell them what he's exactly doing.
No, better yet, when he goes to kill Rick Flag, and then what's her
Rick
name?
Jones?
in the first episode, Jack Flag.
Jack Flag.
Jack Flag. There you go.
When he goes to kill Jack Flag with the
needle,
needle,
she comes in.
And is it Kathy? Who comes in?
Kathy.
Yeah. And then Kathy comes in and she tells him, "We decided to turn off the machines." And
Oh,
he's like,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to kill anybody.
Yeah, he doesn't, and
He's still Steve Rogers, but he's just got that underlying, like, I gotta do things the naughty way if I have to.
Yeah.
Right. And he outright, Jack Flag when kicks him out of the plane.
It's what made the story, I think, so good, is the fact that it is just that slight subversion where it's just, I'm still trying to obtain peace.
Yeah.
I'm just more willing to do it through really brutal means if I have to.
Yeah.
Even when
And it's not, I'm just outright a bad person, because you've got all the strategy and everything else of Steve Rogers, and I really like that. It's what if Steve Rogers, for all that he was, just had a different vision than everybody else.
And I like that, when he becomes director of S.H.I.E.L.D., when he goes to talk to Tony in Civil War II: The Oath, and he's saying all the things.
Maybe one of my favorite comic book issues this year.
And he's saying all these things is like, I just, this is all working out.
Yeah.
It's great because I was talking to you earlier. There's a Civil War 1 comic called The Confession, where Tony Stark is talking to a dead Captain America, and he's like, "I'm sorry I failed you. Like, you were right, and I'm a bad person." And this flip around on The Oath is Steve Rogers going to a comatose Tony Stark saying, "God, what a waste of a person you are. And I wish you were awake, because I want to see everything you built burn to the ground. I'm going to be better than you ever were. I'm so bummed that you're asleep, because I want to see you fall."
You're always so focused on the futurist, but you're not bringing anybody else along with you.
And he's like, "Look at all these things have happened. Does the world look saved to you?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, he's not wrong.
But
he's not wrong.
The mic drop at the end of the issue, when he's just like, "Do you know what my world looks like?"
That's what's great.
And then you just see the American flag and all the pictures of
with Hydra.
Civil War II, when they foresaw Miles killing Captain America, and nobody looked around. They only saw Miles. They didn't see the world was taken over by Hydra.
And he looked around.
Yeah, and it's right. It's a mic drop at the end of the issue. He's like, "Do you know what I saw, Tony?" And it's just a collage of all the crazy things.
Exactly. That was so good, because
so
it was that everyone was so focused on that moment, and he's like, "I wasn't surprised."
Yeah.
So I saw everything else, and it's like, oh no.
That was really cool.
It's like Civil War II, for better or worse. Like, it's a fine comic or whatever, but
fine.
Now that this event is over, they've been seeding this Cap stuff for so long, and like they throw it in where they need to, but it all works so well together.
The entire Nick Spencer stuff, starting from Standoff all the way through, and there's a lot of side character stories that tied into that, whether it was event tie-ins or not. Civil War II stuff. Some of the stuff in Civil War II that I really loved was with Miss Marvel. And her dilemma, because she stood by Captain Marvel on this whole thing, and then over time, between the actual event and her own comics, you saw that she totally changed her mind about her and things like that.
A lot of people
my perspective,
changed their mind on Captain Marvel.
I was telling Brandon, I don't know that I would say Civil War II is a great event by itself, but as a prologue to Secret Empire, it's fantastic. Like, if you, and especially, like, honestly, Civil War II, because it feels like a prologue to Secret Empire, it kind of doesn't work by itself. I do kind of agree with that. It doesn't really work by itself, but it does work really well if you read the tie-ins. There's some great stuff where, like, Amadeus Cho tracks down Clint Barton to a diner.
Oh, yeah.
And he sits with him, and he's like, "I could kill you. I thought about coming here and killing you. I thought about all that," and he, like, deforms down from the Hulk, because he walks in as the Hulk. And he's like, "Honestly, I'm just really sad." because my friend's gone. And then Clint looks at him and he's crying, and I'm like, I am too.
Yeah.
And they both just sit there and quietly.
Because didn't Hulk ask him to kill him? Like if anything,
Bruce
if I even
him.
look like I'm about to Hulk out, kill me.
Right.
So
that was the whole thing. And so the thing about that I loved is that we find out later that Steve sent Gamma stuff to Bruce to put him on the table to be considered for a possible future by Ulysses.
It's great.
Just so that could happen. And when you put all that spin on the Civil War II events, that Steve is kind of the reason Civil War II is escalating, that's what makes it so great.
Well, at the same time, Steve is like, guys, we can't keep doing this because I remember when we did this before. We can't be fighting.
He's the best Palpatine we've ever had, guys.
But
so good.
But he spent so much time. Like that's why I like the Civil War II event so much. Is because honestly, the event wouldn't have gone the way it did if Steve hadn't been pulling strings all over the place between the Inhumans and Tony, between Bruce and Captain Marvel and everybody else. He was pulling strings everywhere to set up the shield.
The Chitauri invasions.
Yeah,
he's the reason those are happening.
He made those happen. One of the things that I noticed was that going into Secret Empire, one of the big things is that going into a major event, people want the storytellers want the heroes to be divided. Because it's easier to conquer them when they're divided. Mm-hmm. The Marvel Cinematic Universe did a very similar thing just recently. Civil War split up the heroes to get to Infinity War, so that Thanos would have an easier time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's kind of the same thing that they did with Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers split the heroes so that he could. But I mean, that's an event leading into an event. That's just Marvel's problem for a couple of years.
But there was time before that. Before Civil War II and Secret Empire, there was months before that.
Yeah, right. but Marvel's problem. We're not going to really get into.
Yeah. We won't really get into that. But I will say that I think that it being such a thing, like you can see Nick Spencer's through line of his story all the way through tie-ins to Civil War II. Things that were going on with Sam Wilson at the time were really good to read. Sam Wilson's line was amazing. I really loved reading it through Civil War II. Stuff with Steve as well. But like Sam Wilson's line, especially going through Civil War II that leads to Secret Empire, is really solid stuff.
You said that Taskmaster was a fun.
Dude, that was so funny.
Taskmaster is like, he's my favorite like B-level. Like, I'm just gonna show up for a couple minutes, be wacky, kick ass, and say some funny lines. I can't even remember.
For the audience who doesn't know who Taskmaster is.
Oh, Tony Masters, Taskmaster. He has my favorite ability in comics. He has photogenic memory, where if he sees you doing a kung fu style, he has it adopted. If you know how to be like a sword master, he's adopted it. Anything that he sees, he has memorized. So he can kick anyone's ass, basically. Like, he has beat the Avengers many times, like, not obviously together. Mm-hmm. But him and Black Ant-Man, they figure out that Captain America's evil, and they're like, we gotta get rich off this.
Yeah, it's really funny that these two, like, low-level villain characters
they're
come upon the
goons.
Biggest secret in the Marvel universe and try to sell it to the highest
bidder. Is it
bidder.
Eliza who finds them? Is it Madame?
Yeah, she finds them right when they're trying to make a deal with Maria Hill for the information.
That's right, yeah. And she's like, so instead of just like killing you, you're like, you want to work for us and like be like the coolest guys on the planet? And they're like, yeah, we do. Of course we do.
Right.
Very Black Ant, and he was like, I was gonna buy an Apple Watch.
Oh man.
Yeah. When he's like, man, how do you buy an island?
And are they on Zillow?
I know we're getting closer to the Secret Empire stuff, but I will just jump ahead because it's related to the Taskmaster stuff. I love when they let the Young Avengers out. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, so look, we feel like, because the way they hear it is, it's when Thor gets the hammer.
Yeah.
And it makes the kakoom sound, and they're like, did you hear that? That sounded like a we're losing boom.
Yeah.
And they let the guys out.
Like, we know
they're like, we know that's the end of this. And they let the kids out. Because they've done it so many times, they're like, we know when things are turning. Yeah. So they're like, here's the deal. We're going to let you out, and you don't beat us up. Yeah. I thought that was really
I don't know if did I text you guys that? Or I texted one of you guys Taskmaster stuff, but...
that sounds like a we're losing boom.
Yeah, they're a fun comic relief.
They were.
Anything else we want to talk about because after Civil War II, it's pretty much just a beeline to Secret Empire. Yeah. Captain America's plan starts really coming to fruition.
So he tells Carol, because Carol wants to build this big.
No, let's talk about Zemo.
Oh, Zemo.
Let's talk about Zemo, because Zemo
BFF.
In the new reality that Kobe created for Captain America, he thinks that Zemo is his best friend. They grew up together. They were trained together.
Are best friends.
Yeah.
To him, there's no is.
Yeah. And so he tells Zemo this, and he's been telling Zemo this for a long time. And when he lets down the shield, it's like, I can't do this without you, Zemo. I can't do this without you, Helmet. and I'm just to prove that I trust you. I'm gonna turn off the cage.
He's been locked up.
Because he tells him this whole story where Zemo believes that their reality has been rewritten to be this one, but they used to be best friends.
They used to be best friends.
Working in Hydra together.
And he even says, like, you know, you ran Hydra. Why'd you do that? Because you were part of Hydra. You know, your dad really loved you. He was a
great man, and it's all these things Zemo's always wanted to hear.
But the scene where what's Zemo's dad's name again?
Baron?
Baron
Zemo?
Yeah. No, it's Heinrich.
Heinrich, thank you.
Okay,
Where Heinrich Zemo, he's fighting with Bucky and he gets his glove stuck, and then the last line he says is, I love you, son.
Yeah.
And then he flies off and
to his death.
Which is not what happened, but...
But then, of course, Bucky says, hey, I got the trajectory, so he's going to land in the ocean where Baron Zemo belongs. Bucky being all, like, Bucky, soldier, Bucky. And then, of course, like, when Captain America, Steve Rogers, is fighting Zemo, they're, like, whispering to each other, like, as they're... So like,
what's up, BFF?
It's fun to see. It's fun to see those flashbacks specifically because you get to see events that, you know, Captain America was even at this time manipulating. He even says to Helmet, he's like, "Please, I don't want to fight for the side anymore. Let me fight for the right side."
Where he's telling Eliza after he fights the Red Skull for the first time in the flashbacks, saying, I want to go away from this war. I'm done." And then she's like, "Well, here's your mom."
Right.
Yeah. She's not dead.
Right.
Congratulations. You thought I killed her, but no, I didn't.
But yeah, on the Zemo thing, I did think that was one of the best parts of the story, is doing this thing where they took this character who's been wanting to hear that. Hear these things about, like, his dad, and wanted to have somebody like Steve.
And now Zemo thinks...
it's his dream.
Yeah.
And now Zemo thinks that this history was robbed from him.
Right.
What's the scientist who the super soldier serum?
Erskine.
Yeah, so Steve is on a Hydra mission to kill Erskine, but he's not there yet. He's not there, so he's ready to shoot the pistol, and then Helmet comes in and shoots him for him. He's like, "Don't worry, Steve, the secret's between us. You're still Hydra savior. I'm your best friend. I love you." I'm like, this is a weird friendship. I love it.
And then that's referenced again later when he says, like, "Let us do the dirty work.
Yeah.
You be the
Captain
guy
America.
at the top."
You be the face.
Right. Even once he's the supreme leader, when they're talking about what happens in Las Vegas, he's like, "Let us do that thing. You have to be the guy above it."
Yeah. When Madam Hydra, who's revealed to be Eliza Sinclair in the present, when she forms the new High Council of Hydra, a lot of cool names there.
Yep. I love Dr. Faustus, the Hive. Man, there's a lot.
You know what I love?
The new Kraken, who we don't know
she
who's
was
under that mask.
I really loved that when she was going off recruiting them, she was offering them a different thing.
Oh, yeah.
I offer you meaning. I offer you vengeance.
I offer you the thing you want.
I offer you the thing you want. I'm just reading this and thinking, you are a crafty lady, Madam Hydra. That is some crafty shit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we finally have a solid face for Madam Hydra, who has been many characters throughout the years.
Yeah.
And I think this one might stick. Who knows?
I buy, man, like, her love and her admiration for Steve, and she truly believes, like, you were going to be the one to save us all, man. Like, so, you're my Anakin. So let's get Secret Empire.
Yeah. I think we're diving pretty into it.
So in Secret Empire, it's revealed by Steve that the history that he knows is the quote-unquote real history.
Everyone else is wrong.
The Axis powers won World War II. He thinks that Kobik made him his original self.
Yes.
And that what happened is the Allied powers in World War II got a hold of the Cosmic Cube and changed it to the history that we know.
Right.
So the real history is where Hydra won and everything is wonderful, and so he's trying to get back to that.
Like, Steve is displaced in a different, like, oh, we didn't win this, I gotta make that right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he's, like, awakened. And I think that's a really cool motivation for this character.
It's a unique look. Instead of just like, oh, I've been brainwashed. Like, no, like, my entire history has been rewritten. Like, that's my entire life. Like, you can't tell me I'm wrong.
The original Secret Empire was Red Skull turned everything Hydra except for Steve Rogers.
Yeah. Like, what's this world?
Yeah.
Very 70s, yeah.
Was just a screw with Steve Rogers?
No, the original Secret Empire was Mark Waid, wasn't it?
Mark Waid? There's an old school Secret Empire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do remember there was, I think Mark Waid did a Secret Empire where everything became Hydra, and Steve Rogers was not Hydra, and like those Red Skull's plan was to make Steve live in a world that was controlled by Hydra.
That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe
because
that sounds like
they use monikers all the time. So
I do like that take, because normally when you get a character that gets that kind of motivation, it's just told to you. You know, it's like,
we don't get a
oh no, like their reality isn't this, and you just kind of explain to you, but you're like, oh man, he thinks that everything we know is fake.
But it's almost believable. You almost kind of buy it.
The only reason you don't is because you know from issue 2 that Red Skull had Kobik do this.
Yes.
And if that hadn't happened, you would be questioning the whole event.
Absolutely.
If this was actually true and be like, what if everything is wrong?
That'd be crazy. Could you imagine like how different this event would be if it was just, yep, that's Steve Rogers, all right.
Well, and
like Jesus.
And Thor's only with Steve because he's just kind of like, he lifted the hammer.
He's worthy.
Why?
Odinson? Yeah.
I'm not. He's got to be right.
That's great. All right, so the first issue of Secret Empire, or should I say issue 0? It's the culmination of Steve getting power. So he was just given. He's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Mm-hmm. He's given this S.H.I.E.L.D. Act, which gives him unlimited power of the military.
If they grant it to him under a situation where they feel like they cannot handle it, they need him in charge and they want him to be the guy.
Chitauri are about to invade.
Because they're getting attacked on multiple fronts, which is the Chitauri invasion fleet coming in, and a gigantic villain attack in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And an issue with Hydra in Sokovia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because all three of those things are happening at the exact same time, they're like, this is too insane. Steve, you got to take control.
You're the only person.
And he's like,
and he cracks his knuckles. And he's like, are you guys sure? You really gonna press this button? All right, cool. Hydra won.
And you're watching like heroes figuring it out, like Iron Man and Riri Williams.
They're trying to get the shield
being
back
where
up.
they are. Yeah.
So the Chitauri invasion, trillions of aliens are coming. Riri and Tony are trying to fix the shield, and for some reason they're smart guys. The thing should be working, and it's not. But in the middle of the big battle, it suddenly comes up out of nowhere. And like they seem saved, and the villains of New York they're defeated, and everyone's like, all right, cool, everything's working out. And then the shield goes online. And all right, cool.
And it's great. And Captain Marvel's like, all right, cool. We need to get back in and then put the shield back up. And it's like, sorry, Carol, I can't do that.
Can you open the door? Can you open the door? Steve, can you open the door? Yeah, about that, Carol.
Does he go HAL 9000 on her?
Yeah, totally. I can't let you in, Carol. And he's like, we made the shield to keep all of enemies out, and now they are. Bye. Beep.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, this is so good.
And all the heavy hitters are out there.
The Guardians.
Thor, the Guardians. Quasar.
All stuck. And then we've got
New York.
Who's the villain that they use?
Bob.
Black Bolt?
Blackout.
Black Bolt. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
He's somewhere else.
It's more present in my mind right now.
Yeah.
So
he's also like a C-list.
Right, yeah. Blackout is used to throw all of New York into the dark dimension.
Yeah, so it's literally just a giant bubble.
Which had a ton of heroes in it fighting
basically
at the time.
all the New York heroes, so like all the Defenders, all of them.
And that was crafty as hell. I was like, oh man, take a lot of players off the board.
Doctor Strange is in his own...
He can't get out. It's too strong. He just can't get out.
And they're using...
Sokovia?
No. They're using Cloak and Dagger are using the light that she has to Dagger, keep people alive.
So it is pitch black, and Cloak or Dagger is literally the only source of light in the entire city. So she's standing on the Empire State Building, just being a sun.
Right.
And it wipes her out every single night.
There's a ton of great tie-in stories related to this. I didn't get to read all of them, but
Kingpin is like being a sweet...
Kingpin's whole thing is awesome.
He's running for mayor.
Now he's running for mayor because all of these people, it's like Daredevil even comes in and he's like, man, what's your angle, Fisk? And he's like, I just want people to remember because
he's delivering
all these things are undone.
Yeah.
And I just want people to remember who provide for them. And I'm like, damn, you're a genius. This is why you're the Kingpin.
It's Lex Luthor running for president.
That was such a great move.
Yeah.
It's
I can't wait to see that play
He
out.
walks away like saying I'm walking on sunshine or something. I'm like, God.
You are absolutely correct in the parallels to Star Wars Episode 1 and 2 and 3.
Oh, like the Palpatine stuff?
Totally, dude. It was the sun will come out tomorrow.
The sun will come out
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Which is why it was so sinister.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I know somehow this thing's gonna come down.
Yeah.
And when it does, I just want folks to remember.
I was there.
So good.
I helped you.
I love that stuff, man. And then Sokovia becomes just like a Hydra country.
Yeah.
This is our base of operations. No one else is here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I got nukes, so suck it.
Because they bring a helicarrier that Faustus has helped them take control of. And
Dr.
it
Faustus,
right into
the hypnosis man.
I love the helicarrier designs, the Cthulhu tentacles.
So what launched me into the event right away, like loving it, was how well calculated this frickin' plan was.
Yeah, dude.
What a great plan. Like, isolate out all your powerful intergalactic heroes in space so they can't get back. Put all your on-the-ground heroes of New York right into the dark dimension so they can't get out. You've just basically been handed the world.
That's
for
like
the most part.
95% of all of your heroes.
Yeah.
Who do you got left?
The majority of them are done.
I want to take this moment to swoon about Ultimates, because during this time the Maker was on Counter Earth doing his own thing.
Oh yeah.
And
what's that guy doing?
one of the things that I realized was that Counter Earth is still around.
That's that Doctor Doom planet, dude.
Yeah. So Counter Earth is on the other side of the sun, and it's still going on. It's still a planet. And I was reading Ultimates at the time the Secret Empire was happening. I was like, Counter Earth. Oh,
Not so
okay.
bad.
Apparently, it is just something they keep around for whenever they need it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
So that's the Zero issue.
That's how
perfect plan,
things start up. Yeah.
Perfect plan goes for fruition. He's like, cool, we won, cool.
And everybody can't believe it.
Yeah. It's like
And then you launch into later.
It's
and
like
everyone's
it's
Sharon's reaction to finding out.
Oh yeah.
and they're like lovers. And it's like, Sharon, I know you're not going to understand, but like, Hail Hydra, first of all. I'm going to lock you up because I know you're freaking out, girl. We'll talk about it later, okay?
Right.
It's Lois Lane with the Justice Lords.
Oh.
You remember that episode of Justice League Unlimited when we meet the Justice Lords?
Yeah, where
wow.
Superman lobotomizes Doomsday, and she's like, "This isn't you."
Oh.
And he's like,
No, the Justice Lords universe. When we see the Justice Lords and we go to Lois Lane's apartment, and she's under house arrest because she doesn't understand why Superman is doing this.
Oh. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like I
It's a
think
good
it's
episode,
like a year
by the way. You
later.
should watch that.
I think it's 1 year later because they're talking about in school. Like, didn't we learn?
No, it's
magic
not a
there?
year. It's a couple months.
It's a couple months.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a couple months.
That's why it's a little jarring because all of a sudden everything is Hydra.
Yeah.
Right. But I liked that. I liked that we just kind of dove into it, how easy it was for them to take hold
Yeah.
with that power. And we dive into it, and we know that the heroes
The
have already...
Great Delusion.
And I love the heroes already talking about how they've explored every avenue. Like, he's not LMD, he's not brainwashed, we know that it's not this thing, that's Steve.
Yeah.
And them trying to come to terms with it. And
I don't know
really
if it
love
was
that.
if it's Tony or Sam, but they're like, I think we got to figure it out. I think it's the Cosmic Cube.
Tony.
Tony.
Because Sam decided to walk
Oh,
away.
he quit.
Because of all the things, and this is where some of the Civil War
AmeriCorps,
II
yeah,
stuff
all
I
that
love.
stuff, yeah.
All this AmeriCorps stuff that happened, which I thought was a great choice.
Yeah, he is kind of
causes Sam to really question if he should be Captain America,
And why.
how effective he's even being as Captain America, and decides, you know what, I need to walk away from it. And he left just before Secret Empire
Yeah,
started.
good timing, buddy.
He just decided, I need to go. He went nomad,
Yeah,
essentially.
totally.
Can you explain Tony?
So yeah, in Civil War II, and I read a description earlier that made a lot more sense. I always called this a battle coma, but what happened was he created a failsafe. So if he was about to die, he put himself into a medically induced coma to save his organs and save his body. So in case something bad enough happened, he would still be fine. And I don't know how he's supposed to get out of it. And Legacy doesn't explain it either.
No, it's still unknown.
But he'll come back. But he's in a coma.
But he's in Secret Empire.
But he created.
He's an AR construct.
Right. So that's what I wanted to explain
Right.
because you've been saying Tony. So just explain.
Yeah. Tony is back in all aspects except physical form. He's an AI who helps Riri out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still as much a member of the Avengers. Like he's still doing stuff.
God, I love the issue that opened with him where he's sitting there with the birthday cake and he's like,
"Oh, he can't blow out a candle."
amazing. I know that was such a funny start to one of these issues because I was still Secret Empire. You're still in the midst of everything, and he's just like,
He can't blow it out.
yeah. It's interesting. I kind of like the way that Tony stuff played out of Civil War II. I only checked out some of it, but how that led to like Ironheart coming up and everything. Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
Your favorite infamous Iron Man?
Well, that's Dr. Doom, baby. She's invincible.
No, I mean, let's say what came out of.
Absolutely. Thank you, Civil War II, for giving me Dr. Doom.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
A lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah. So Secret Empire, largely, do we think the event worked?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still kind of want to talk about like some choice moments.
No, I wanted to use that as an umbrella.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Yes. I think this was. I haven't really been into reading main Marvel comics for a while. Oh, I do want to point out. I think it was really funny that Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man, when he shows up in the Secret Empire event, he gets one freaking line. It's a bad joke.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this feels like a dig at Dan Slott writing. How he's just like an insensitive jerk now.
Yeah.
Because he's like, hey guys, what's going on here? I was just doing like this whole thing. Guess you're all Hydra now. That seemed kind of insensitive. And then we don't see him again. And you're like, oh.
You gotta focus on Miles, I guess.
I want to say largely, I think the event almost didn't, but then Omega came out.
Well, I see.
And I think Omega, because I don't think Nick Spencer landed the event well.
I see. Okay.
I told you in car. I think 9 3/4 of the entire the 10 issues are good. The final ending with Cap coming back, like, I don't know what I was going to expect, but like I kind of just didn't want that.
But
I thought the event worked besides that.
It's more along the lines of we kept getting it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, and then it was this.
Yeah, Omega definitely. If it didn't have Omega, I definitely would be a little more soured on the ending. Mm-hmm. But the journey is more important than the destination, and I enjoyed almost all of this.
Again, the problem with a lot of Marvel events, they very rarely stick the landing. Yeah. I think in recent memory, only Secret Wars did.
Secret Wars is the last event I loved this much, and that was over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I love this. I think that everything that's happened from Secret Wars, because that wasn't long up to Standoff.
No,
they started building all of this. Like everything that happened after Secret Wars was kind of leading up to this.
Was it the next big event?
Yeah, because it ended in January 2016, and Standoff
was next.
The next month.
Yeah, there's a lot of story between those then.
Right. So like everything after Secret Wars has kind of in some small fashion been leading up to what feels like Secret Empire is like a punchline to that.
Nick Spencer, because he's done a bunch of Word Balloon podcasts. He's been figuring out this event since January of 2015. So it wasn't until well over a year did he finally implement this stuff. Right. So like it's he's been working on it for a while, and it really shows. Like this wasn't half-assed at all. It all works.
No, I felt like this was a very solid event.
I think
in the way that it let's even just compare it to Civil War 2. Like the reason why I say Civil War 2 feels like prologue, I don't feel like Civil War 2 captures what the event is about or the characters well in itself of its single issues.
Yeah.
Secret Empire does. Secret Empire reflects you're benefited from knowing what's going on with Sam, for example.
You do.
You're benefited majorly by what happens with Sam in Secret Empire, but you still get the gist of why all this is happening, and you're following all the key characters you need to be, and it feels solid to them.
As an event, I appreciate that they weren't late because they had multiple artists, but I do think there's a couple of art issues that the artist is better than what we got in Secret Empire. But I think largely, who was the one who did Free Comic Book Day? Sorrentino.
He did a majority of the issues.
Great.
Yeah.
I love his art.
Yeah. He did the art when Rick Jones dies, right?
He did.
When we see him shot.
Yeah.
Talk about Rick Jones.
So the death of Rick Jones was the moment for me where the event was like, I'm like, I don't really know where this is going, but I'm so on board with this event because it's being so well told. And I love the moment where Steve walks into Rick Jones' cell, and he's like, "Man, I don't care. I don't
Rick
even
Jones
care."
is in jail for the standoff stuff, right? Because he
no. He was free up after he's in jail because he got Selvig's Hydra files, and he sent them along on a phone.
That's right.
To Tony, not to Tony, to a kid who got it to Tony.
Okay.
Got it to the underground, and that's the whole thing. That's why Rick Jones has now been put into prison for Hydra. And Steve comes in, and he's like, "Man, I don't even care if you believe it. Just say the words.
Yeah.
Just say Hail Hydra."
And
he just sings a song back at him, and he's like, "Hey, Cap, I don't know what this is. LMD, brainwashing. I don't know.
We've been through this before, man.
I know you're gonna beat it because you're my favorite hero, Cap."
Yeah.
And then it goes forward into him getting put in front of the shooting range.
Cap even has a frown on.
And Rick Jones just smiles and shouts, "Avengers Assemble," and then he gets blasted, and the art really shows bullets just tore into his body.
I want to real quickly, you reminded me, Jack Flag references the Guardians of the Galaxy run by Abnett and Lanning in the first issue. I just want to say that was cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Guardians are at his funeral.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
okay, anyway.
It's cool. It's a cool, nice little callback.
Yeah, because we did that as one of our book clubs. Yeah, it's fun.
Right.
Callback.
I remember that. He referenced in Steve Rogers' Captain America #1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but let's back to...
so Ultron's in this for some reason.
It's still...
You mean Hank Pym?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he hates when I call him Ultron, sorry.
Right, yeah, no. That's what I thought was so fun about that, is how the moment when Tony's like, "That's the most Hank Pym thing I've ever heard. I wasn't buying this whole I'm not Ultron thing until you said that."
Yeah.
And that was the most...
That's good.
That was so funny.
I'm so surprised that Hank Pym as Ultron thing has stayed, because that's an original graphic novel that came from.
That's a Remember joint.
Very, very rarely have those stuck in continuity.
That, funny enough, that book was out of continuity, and they just hey guys, we're just gonna usher it in.
It's Rage of Ultron.
It's Rage of Ultron, yeah.
I was really excited for the sequel, Rave of Ultron.
Oh, it's a blacklight comic.
I really liked that issue. I really liked how he made the two sides sit down at a table.
Yeah.
And
a lot of this
ultimately decide to give the piece to Scott Lang.
Yeah. A lot of this journey is like a quest for cosmic cube fragments.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize it was going to be a Dragon Ball episode.
Right.
We're just trying to find the Dragon Balls, and Tony invented
I guess that's why I loved it so much.
Tony invented a scouter or a Dragon Ball finder.
Except he didn't.
Except he did. He just wanted to inspire hope. But yeah, that Hank Pym episode is great because you have crazy Ultron Hank Pym and then robot Tony Stark, and they're just bickering at each other. I'm like, this is funny. This is great.
You both have lost your lives.
Yeah, they're both
right. I thought it was funny because I did think that while Hank Pym was being psychotic, he had a good point. He had a good point about even. I think that was the one moment where somebody to Steve called him out on, like, even in your way that you think this is right, you realize everything here is still wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying before was right either, but this isn't right either.
Let's talk about what was going on in that weird headspace thing.
Oh, Vanishing Point?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about. Where
when we see Red Skull and Bearded Cap, and
that's inside Kobik, right?
Yeah, yes. That's inside Kobik.
I think is that the Vanishing Point, or because I've heard that's what they're from.
Okay, it can't be the Vanishing Point because that's a DC thing.
No, but that's literally on the cover of Marvel titles. It says the Vanishing Point. So
really,
it's called the Vanishing Point.
Weird.
There are variants that say Vanishing Point on it.
Weird.
I wouldn't say it unless
it's implied that it's the same place that we see all the heroes transported to through generations.
I think it is.
It's implied that it's that same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really like that. I mean, like, this actually leads into the ending, which, you know. Okay, so, like, you know, I understand. How do I word this? Yeah. I understand why people don't like original Steve kind of coming back the way that he does. Mm-hmm. But there's something about it where I don't think there was a better way out.
Like, really, like, when they set up this way, like, what other option?
Because there was no version. Here's the thing, like, you can call it kind of cop-outy, but I don't think there was any other way to write the story to believably make me feel like the heroes and the world could acknowledge Steve as Steve post this, even if they knew, without a physical representation of the fact that, like, these are two different Steves.
And we see in Omega when he's trying to help someone, they flinch because even the average person isn't going to know.
Exactly. But it's at least... So, like, the consequences are still there, but I at least believe they can be overcome. Yeah. Whereas if it had just been, like, you know,
my memories are
a mind wipe, and then Steve is back in that body.
That would have been worse.
Like Steve comes back, but he's in the Hydra uniform, and somehow the world is supposed to buy that this is still our Steve.
Yeah.
I feel like, yes, you could make that happen, but I wouldn't buy it.
No, it is weird because, you know, if that second issue hadn't happened and we are just questioning whether or not what's the right reality and what's going on, then I think that's a different story because you get a lot of morality of,
that'd
like,
be a much longer reveal.
Yeah.
You got a much different morality play going on.
Have been a really good reveal if all this Hydra stuff wasn't found out until way later.
Right. It's interesting to think about the fact that if the second issue had not revealed that Red Skull had done this, then we watch all of it thinking, oh my god, for like a year and a half, Steve might have always been Hydra. And it's the flashbacks, or not flashbacks, but this headspace thing, as you said, that we're seeing through the Secret Empire things, that is the real Steve trying to come back. And in that case, maybe the ending would have landed better. But people might have been more upset reading through the event.
Absolutely.
I think so. But what I wanted to get at, if that wasn't the case, you know, and having Steve Rogers, because you're right, how else are you going to have Steve Rogers come back? Because you got to this point where it's like, it can't be the normal things that it's not an LMD, it's not a this, it's not a that. It's got to happen in some different way, and unfortunately, that different way happens to be just something that needed to happen.
The key to me is that it's not so much for me that Steve needed to come back this way for the heroes or for the readers. It's for the world in the comics that the only way I can believe you to tell me any future stories where they look at Steve like they used to, ever, is that they would have had to have some physical representation of it.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't, it'd be really hard to come back from this. Even if you know and the other heroes know, it'd be really hard to make a world where we feel like Steve could be acknowledged that way. Like, honestly, if Steve had just gotten his memories back while in the Hydra Cap body, I would think that the only solution is they'd have to put him off of Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, Steve would just become a galactic agent.
Captain America.
He would just become like a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy or something because he couldn't stay on Earth.
Into Nick Fury.
Nobody would
Bucky
want
Barnes.
him on Earth. People would want him dead.
Bucky Barnes is still the man on the wall.
I don't know if he is anymore.
No, he is, because they reference it in the first.
They do,
beginning
but if
of the
you
arc.
read Jason Aaron's Thor, you see a man in chains that looks like Nick Fury.
No, because remember, the Watchers chained Nick Fury to be the new Watcher of Earth.
Yeah.
And that's his punishment, but he's not, and that's why Bucky became the man on the wall, because Nick Fury could no longer be the man on the wall.
Right.
I just don't know if, like, at this point, like, after Secret Empire, I don't know if that status is still...
Jumping back in Secret Empire, the part where Zemo plays the message from Cap to Bucky while he's strapped to the ship, that was brutal.
Oh, man, like, hey, everything...
And he's like, turn it off. And then Zemo's like, what? You don't want to hear words from your best friend?
Oh, God.
Why wouldn't you want to hear this lovely message he made for you? And he's like, that's not Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, man, is like...
That rivalry that they created between Zemo and Bucky was so good.
Coming out of this, having...
rival friends, yeah.
Coming out of this...
Thunderbolts where Zemo comes after him.
Mm-hmm. That Thunderbolt stuff's great.
Coming out of this, having Zemo and Hydra having this kind of new motivation of we were robbed of our history...
Right.
Is really powerful.
Because this is the first time that they've seen that they won and they were right.
I truly wonder what Zemo will feel because, and again, this is another reason why I kind of do like the ending, he has physical evidence that this might have been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's now been played in two ways and can no longer process what might be real. So which Steve is real and all that becomes a huge question mark for him.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this final battle... This looks like straight up like Civil War II John Cassaday with all the scales, like the OG Cap, and it's a good battle. And you have multiple references to Civil War, and there's a scene where it's Captain America walking up to Thanos, so it's referencing a lot of old Captain America battles, and I think that's awesome. And I think it's
really did like that too. I liked how they referenced
straight up.
This is the only way. This is the only way
War.
it could be done is by watching him do it as he'd always done it before, and you saw Sam walking up. Was it Sam or Bucky?
When?
Walking up. It was Sam walking up towards Hydra Cap.
Oh,
Sam
yeah, and he
walking
gave him
up
the
to him
cube?
when it cuts to Thanos.
Oh, yeah, and he gives him the cube.
Because he's saying... And that's what was so great, is I love Sam Wilson being Captain America.
Yeah.
And how it was his perspective on the event that really put things where it needed to be. I thought that was so great, because if you were reading Nick Spencer's Sam Wilson run, you were watching him the whole time kind of question whether he should have kept the shield and all these kind of things, because Steve was so on board with it, and until he was
and everyone kept telling him like,
rewritten.
Captain America chose you, dude.
Right, until he was rewritten, and behind the scenes he was playing against Sam. But that was the call, and Sam knew that they needed this, so Sam tried to live by Steve's example against Steve, and ultimately is what brings Steve back, which is why ultimately, looking at all of Nick Spencer's stuff, I do think the ending works. I think it is bettered because of Omega.
Yeah. Omega is so good.
I just want to say, I like the reveal of the hammer.
Oh, yeah.
And how he changed the hammer, and then when Steve is like, here, let me try.
Yeah, got him.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
so good.
I didn't even talk about my... Can we talk about our favorite moments?
Yes, absolutely.
So, my favorite moment is from, I believe, issue 5, when Captain America meets up with the ambassador from New Tien, Beast. And he's like, listen, Beast, I've heard some things. Some of your people are being crazy. I just need you to settle down. And Beast is like, are you like threatening me? Like, why'd you bring me in front of this hammer? Like, do you like what's the quote exactly? It's like, does it ever hard like the need to like play God when you have this hammer?
The temptation to play God.
The temptation to play God, and Steve's like, do you think I need the hammer for that? And he just gets onto the helicopter. Because once he picked up the hammer, he dropped it and never touched it again, because that's more of a symbol.
He just left it sitting there.
He doesn't need it. That's how powerful he is. And that was like, that got me. I was like, this guy's unstoppable.
Let's use favorite moments as final thoughts, so we can get into our Marvel legacy.
Sure. I did want to tail back off that real quick before we do that. Something that I did also love about this event,
Zorn's in this
because
book too.
Because of how he talked about the stuff with Beast. The X-Men and the mutants all feeling like they had the ideal version of their world in a way.
Yeah, they won.
They were where they wanted to be as their own respected kind of thing, and now they don't have it, they're going to want it back.
Yeah.
And Emma Stone, who is the secret leader behind...
Emma Stone?
Emma Stone? Emma Frost was the secret leader of all these X-Men, and now she's real pissed about it. She's like, we had heaven, and how I kind of want it back. So it looks like she's going to be a little more.
I think that's a really great place to have left all the mutants after this.
A lot of people are coming out of this event in a really cool place,
in a new place, yeah,
in a place that hopefully writers will take advantage of and move forward.
Yeah. It was really great. Who wants to start with favorite moments?
Well, he did.
That was mine.
Yeah,
these notes.
I have two things I want to talk about because I hadn't gotten to talk about them yet. One is I think one of my, I'm not gonna say it's my favorite moment because I really like that Rick Jones moment. I really love the whole story of Miles with Black Widow and him choosing.
Oh, we didn't even talk about any of that stuff.
Yeah, Black Widow and the champions.
Miles choosing not to.
She's training a bunch of assassins.
The fact that he was right there and could have and didn't. And I thought that was so great.
That's a good character moment. And she looks at him and she's like, and she locks him up. And she's like, I look at you, Miles, and I don't see a killer.
Right.
Like, that's so good.
I really, really like that.
And then look what happened to her.
All the story with Black Widow and the kids I thought was really good, but I love how the Civil War II, like, Future C payoff was, because I just love Miles' character.
Yeah, man.
I really loved the way that was handled, Miles' choice to not, because obviously going into that scene, you were questioning a lot of what was going to happen.
Like, is he going to go Captain America?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that was probably, in many ways, that was a very anticipated moment in Secret Empire, because you knew it was coming, and you were like, how's it going to go down? The other thing I want to talk about is a Secret Empire tie-in that happens just before the Zero issue, which is that Phil Coulson finds out that Cap is Hydra, and he's trying to contact people, but before he can get anywhere, Captain America just contacts Deadpool and says, I need you to kill Phil Coulson. No questions asked. And Deadpool says, all right, Cap, because you're Captain America. And he hunts him down. And Phil knows the whole time that he's like, I just got to get somewhere where he can't kill me because he's like, I can't win a fight.
Yeah, I can't fight Deadpool.
Against Deadpool. Once he figures out it's Deadpool after him. And he gets to this place, but Deadpool's got his arm right through the door with a gun. And Phil's like, you got to understand, Steve's been Hydra this whole time. He's gonna ruin the world. He's gonna destroy everything. And he's like, I want to listen to you, Phil, but honestly, how many times has anybody ever stood on a side against Captain America and been right? And then he shoots him right in the chest.
Yeah.
And then Cap comes down and he says, Deadpool says to him, am I gonna ever find out what this was all about? And he's like, sometime, but not tonight. And then Deadpool's just looking...
He's gonna be like, you'll
Deadpool's
see.
Just looking at the shattered glass and something in him broke that day, which we see later referenced in Legacy. I love that. It was such a good issue. Such a good issue.
Because it's not often that you see Deadpool, like, have emotion. I mean, he has emotions, but like...
All of Original Sin was him having emotion.
There was a lot of character... A lot of times when they decide to kill a character, I thought they handled it really well. The death of Phil, the death of Rick, the death of Jack, the death of Black Widow. I thought all these deaths were handled so well. Yeah. So deftly.
Oh, Casey says something really interesting when Jack Flag is buried. She says, he might come back, right? Sometimes they come back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
I thought that was...
Kathy says that.
Kathy,
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Casey.
Favorite moments. I didn't talk about Omega at all, but like I just love that entire conversation.
Let's talk about Omega just right.
Yeah, because I think that's important.
Yeah, and we've touched on Omega. Kind of saves the event in a lot of ways.
So Omega, for anybody who maybe is listening to this and didn't read but wants to,
crazy.
For some reason, so Omega is at the end you get our true Steve and then this new Hydra Steve have become two separate
I'm glad
beings.
they kept him on the board.
Yeah,
because I think that's really interesting.
They become these two separate beings, and this whole Omega issue is a conversation between the two of them. And it's really powerfully effective when you look back to see how Hydra Cap views everything and how that's pitted against Steve is really good.
Yeah.
The final moments of the guards coming in to like change him or to get him out, and then one of the guards whispers "Hail Hydra" and he just smiles.
Yeah.
Like, yo, man, we're gonna get like I don't want him to be called Captain Hydra, but I really, really want evil Captain America to be like a main player,
like the Maker.
Yeah. Evil Reed Richards, totally. Yeah.
No, I think honestly, my favorite moment was when he lifts the hammer. Because look, it's so early.
Which time? The time when he does it evil, or
the
time
evil,
when he does it against
one.
his evil?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was getting to.
Bam!
No, that's what I was getting to because that whole issue, that whole Free Comic Book Day issue, is a lead up, essentially just a lead up to the moment where he lifts the hammer, and and all the heroes, the narration. That was the day we found out we lost.
That's when we found out we weren't worthy.
Because that was the day that we were not worthy.
Yeah.
That was so good.
That was really powerful.
Oh my god.
No, that was my favorite part.
It's really good.
Just read that part because Ryan, you were telling me about this, and you kept telling us about dude, the art in this is amazing.
Sorrentino, baby.
And I finally got the free comic book day issue for Secret Empire. I picked it, I found it. I'm like, I'm reading this, and I get to that part where it's just black and white, or no, not black and white. I'm sorry, blue and red, and it's Steve's hand reaching for the hammer. This part right here, where he's walking to it. Everyone is fighting each other, and then he just lifts up the hammer, and everyone's like, "We're done."
We lost.
They were stronger. They were more powerful. They were worse.
It's like, we are done. But I didn't want to interrupt you guys because just listening to you guys talk about this was amazing.
Well, I think we're coming to the end of it because we got to get into our book club, and we have a lot to do tonight.
We had a book club?
Yeah.
I thought this was the book club.
Marvel Legacy is the book club.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have you read that for nothing, buddy.
Idiot.
Bullet dot.
Final thoughts? Do you have Ben? Do you have anything to say? Because
I was gonna say the lead up to Secret Empire was, to me, worth it more than, because to me Secret Empire was like, this is where Cap reveals that he is Hydra, but I enjoyed reading him playing double agent more. Him trying to kill Rick Flag, but then he doesn't have to. Him playing
Jack Flag.
Damn it! Him trying to play Jack. Like when Taskmaster finds out that he is Hydra, and he tells Maria Hill, and then Maria's like, "Yo, Rick, get this out." And he's like, "Please hold."
Yeah.
And all the stuff, the flashbacks with Steve growing up at the Hydra Keep, where that one doctor says, "Hey, he should be euthanized," but then says, "No, he's a good student. Let's keep him alive."
Even Eliza says he's the savior of Hydra.
Yeah, and him groveling to the Red Skull, but also plotting with Selvig of like, we're gonna kill him. Yeah. We're gonna take him. And
he's bad Hydra. We're good Hydra.
But the scene that just got me, when I was reading after the X-Men took the brain of Xavier's mind away from Red Skull, where he was out. Sin.
Can I touch on this real quick?
Please do.
Sorry, because Sparks sent us a message. Hey, why does Red Skull have Xavier's brain?
Because where I went really far back in the comics, but apparently not far back enough, because I was like, how did what?
That's Remender's Uncanny Avengers.
Uncanny Avengers.
But I'm glad that you guys informed me, because I love the way that it ended when they sent the Uncanny Avengers after him. It was a really good payoff.
Yeah, because in Remender's Uncanny Avengers, it's revealed after Xavier dies, Red Skull puts parts of his brain so that he can use mind control.
The end of that first issue has Professor X on a gurney with his head like you see his empty brain.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Like his empty skull cavity?
Empty skull cavity.
Ugh.
Like that's extreme.
That's why it becomes Red Onslaught, Axis.
I just accepted it. At that point, I just accepted it.
Comic books. Yeah.
Comic books. Yeah, comic books. Like when we first saw the panel of him coming and saying, "Hey, Audrey's like, there's something going on there." Comic books, but that's neither here nor there.
Punisher being a Hydra agent is really cool.
Ugh.
And now he feels all.
He's pissed.
I'm gonna kill all the Hydra agents now.
Yeah.
Well, no, but he's like, no, it's Captain America. It's the same thing as Civil War.
But after it was revealed that it wasn't really Cap, he's like, betrayed by a man I thought I could trust.
Yeah. And now he's War Machine, so it's all good.
He's War Machine?
He's gonna be War Machine. It's weird.
No, oh god, what was I saying?
You like
you like comics.
No, I do like comics. It was to me the lead of like the scenes that just made me just go, oh shit, was when Captain America is in the same room with the Red Skull right after the X-Men took Xavier's mind out. And he's saying, "You are loyal to me," and then Captain America turns and says, "Am I?"
Actually,
he's like, "I am loyal to Hydra. I am not loyal to you. You took it." And of course,
you deformed it.
No, Red Skull is even crying for Sin, his daughter, Crossbones, his two most loyal compatriots this entire time. And literally Captain America just shoves him off of a ledge. He dies. He walks in, and both Sin and Crossbones are at their knees saying, "Hail Hydra." And Sin looking up saying, "Was it quick?" It was. Pity.
That's a shame.
I'm like, you evil conniving bitch.
Oh, she's great. Yeah, man.
So good.
Oh, just that part right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Headphones.
Just that part right there just got me I like just the build up and him saying like, I'm gonna keep playing both sides.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I just like the build up. Sadly, where I was reading the books, I could only get to issue 19, which really sucked.
There was only issue 19.
Remember we had this whole talk how they combined both Captain America books.
Issue 25 was follow up to issue 24 of Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Steve stops at 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Sam Wilson was always, during that time, the true Captain America.
Yep, you're
but
right.
This part, but me just reading these, I want to go find the trades for Hydra Cap, for Steve Rogers' Captain America.
I'm sure there'll be an omnibus.
I'm pretty sure there is, because I
yeah.
want this with Secret Empire all in one thing.
You need to read the Sam Wilson stuff if you didn't.
It's
Okay.
It's a
really-
great companion piece to all this. Go ahead, Brandon.
So we all good? We think
You didn't
we're-
say your favorite moment.
I did.
Yeah.
The hammer.
Oh, the hammer thing.
Yeah, mine
Gotcha.
was
He's Hammerman.
Yeah, mine was also
yeah.
the hammer too.
Are we doing any other final thoughts on it?
No,
My final thoughts are just I really, really enjoy this book a lot.
So final thoughts. I want to ask a question then.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Is this an event that people who were upset with should give a shot?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
It's going to take you some time to read, but I think so. This put me back on track with wanting to read current Marvel comics.
Yeah.
I'd been off of them for
This
a
is
long
the
time.
stuff that I've been loving, like obviously like Infamous Iron Man and stuff, but like
Right.
Steve Rogers has been like a major component for my Marvel love.
Like there are a ton of lines now that I'm going to go back and check them out because I liked what I was seeing happening later.
Please read Ultimates.
Yeah, we talked about this, but there's a whole bunch of stuff here that I like what's happening, so I think I would like what was happening before it, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen now because of the things that happened around this event, how they built this event, a lot of the characters, a lot of the tie-ins I enjoyed, so there's a lot of good stuff here.
Man, I wish you went last because you gave me a really good segue for Legacy.
You know what's funny is I have more of a hopeful future after Secret Empire than I kind of do Marvel Legacy.
So I agree. I think that, if you didn't like this, if you had the initial thought of this wasn't good, this is terrible, you know what? If you've read it and you don't like it, fine.
That's totally fair.
That's fair. But if you haven't read it and you had the reaction on the internet,
If you think Captain America's a Nazi, he's not. That's not what the story's about. Read
No.
it. It's good.
if you haven't read it and you only had the reaction on the internet, please give it a shot. I think you would find that it's actually a very good event.
And if you think we're wrong, call us out on it.
Yeah, please do.
Now, I was going to say, if you are one of the many people who have given the writers a lot of backlash... and just
Oh, yeah,
saying-
please stop sending death threats.
Yeah, stop saying death threats. Just read the story, because it's very interesting. It's just one of those great, like, what if Captain America was Hydra the whole time? But
And please stop sending death threats to Ben.
Yeah.
What did I do?
We won't read him for
kidding.
Yeah, I know. But just like when I found out that Captain was Hydra, I'm like, okay, I know comics, and of course, a lot of people don't.
Oh
necessarily.
man! So I was working at the store at the time.
Yeah,
and so
you-
can I go with this?
you
So
were
people
part-
would come in so pissed off about this, and I have the cynical view of this next issue is explained and it's gone. It's done by next year. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just wait. Read what's going to happen. Something amazing could come out of this, and I believe
Like Ryan
something-
said, it's the journey.
And something did. The journey was the destination. Just everything that led up to Secret Empire was worth it.
Now, I don't know what will... Did you want to say something?
No,
Before
I'm
Okay.
good.
I don't know what will happen now, but what I think really sold me on a whole with this whole event is that everything starting from like Secret Wars to Standoff felt like this was all repercussion to it. All of this was consequences for everything that happened before. And I didn't feel like at the end of this event there weren't consequences still. Mm-hmm. Like, even for Steve, I think there are still consequences,
Well,
and that makes me happy about
Actually,
this
I did
event.
want to touch on that because at the end of 12, what's it, 12?
10.
10. At the end of 10, I feel it felt like slate's clean, we're all good. Omega
is what
changed
is
that.
what changed that, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that because 10 had to kind of tell that end, but
Yeah.
Omega's part of it, and Omega is what makes it clear there's consequences for
Yes.
all this.
When Ed Brubaker was doing The Winter Soldier and he brought back Bucky after 50 years, there was a very similar reaction.
Yeah.
I think we're a little too young, but like if we were on the internet, like heavily involved in the time, I think it's the same reaction. Like, this is stupid. It's an old character. Keep him dead. It's one of the greatest characters we have right now. I think this is one of the best Steve Rogers or Captain America runs. Maybe not in forever, but like this. I think this is going to be remembered in a couple decades.
Wait till next month with Mark Waid and Chris Samney.
That's another one I'm so stoked
know.
for. Oh my gosh.
All right, so that's going to be it. That's going to be it for this. Well done, everyone.
Hell yeah.
We're always positive, apparently.
Good.
Yeah. So
This book sucks.
So our book club for this week is another community book club.
So I just remembered one thing.
Hell,
Can I
keep
do it
going.
real quick?
I'll
Bring
do
it
it all
up.
day long.
Okay, so in Secret Empire, I will say that I do think there was one big flaw in the story I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
It was very unclear what exactly the Red Skull was hoping to do with Steve.
Oh yeah.
I
It
think
never
just
really
take
came,
over the world.
but it never really came to any kind of clear point. He just kind of kept appearing as a Palpatine to like be like, "Hey, I'm just checking that you're still evil now."
I think-
Okay, good. But like he didn't have something in place. It never felt like he had something in place that Steve ruined.
I think I think yes, but I think that's just to show you that Steve's better than him, and that's why he ended up just replacing him.
Which I don't need to see like a whole play. It just didn't feel like he had anything. It felt like he was just sitting around waiting to have his confrontation with
And to be
Steve.
fair, like he was not involved in Secret Empire at all. So like, if you didn't know anything,
right? Which is all the more reason why I'm like, I feel like there needed to be something, because if you read Uncanny Avengers, he literally was just sitting in the mansion.
No, he's right though, because Red Skull's whole motivation is I'm going to die in a couple of issues.
And the only reason why I have an issue with that is because it is Red Skull who makes him this way.
That's true, yeah.
And so I wish there had been a little bit more of a through line of what he had been thinking, even if we didn't see it come out.
Yeah. I got you. I can understand that.
That is my one problem.
I just don't think he was maybe smart enough to think Captain America would be better than him.
Sure, but I mean,
or he didn't think he'd lose his brain.
Still wanted there to be some idea there.
Yeah, I can get that.
So that's gonna be it. Next.
Actually, one more thing. Just kidding. I just wanted to see your face.
Kill all of you.